Season 1 of Written in Stone, the 1990s, is supported by Tension Climbing, wooden training tools designed with purpose in Denver, Colorado. Use the code STONE, that's STONE, to get 10% off of your next purchase at tensionclimbing.com and to let them know that their support for this show matters. Not valid for tension board sets, hardware, or gift cards. Cannot be combined with other offers. Tensionclimbing.com. Mastery over success. Written in Stone is co-created by Power Company Climbing. Products, training plans, and education to help you become a better climber. PowerCompanyClimbing.com. Use the code STONE, that's STONE, for 20% off of almost everything. Learn, grow, excel. Legend says that it's the most beautiful, best crag in the known universe. And I can tell you from experience that as you crest the sandstone slabs on the approach and the tiger-striped wall bursts into view, its glowing orange walls simultaneously beckoning and intimidating, you'll have no doubt that the legend is absolutely true. And the first place your eyes will settle is directly in the center of the wall, at the obvious black streaks just snaking their way to the ground, tempting your climber's brain to wonder if it's possible. You wouldn't be the first to wonder. Surely the indigenous people who first congregated here considered it. And in 1988, when Malcolm Matheson and Steve Monks climbed the famous 29, or 8A, or 13B, depending on which numerical climber language you speak, they must have stared a few meters across the wall to those daunting black streaks, wondering. When Rich Heap bolted a line connecting the giant Wacos and water grooves up the left edge of the black streak, establishing an anchor 2/3 of the way up, there's no possible way he couldn't have pondered what the climbing above that point might look like. And then in 2002, Zach Vertrees added a few bolts above Heap's existing route. Fewer bolts than most of us would have added. Just ask Dave Graham. And connected it into the upper streak. At the time, he was pretty sure it would go. But for 7 years, the route, which would be the hardest route on the best wall on the continent, maybe in the world, would resist the efforts of all of Australia's strongest climbers. That is, until March 2009. When Ben Cossey, who had previously fallen near the top to join the list of those turned away, returned to the Taipan wall. Stronger, better, ready. On the morning of his second day, shrouded in fog, he started up Rich Heap's classic 28 Groovy. At the top of the pitch, he takes a brief token rest because, let's be honest, if you're continuing up the extension, Groovy just isn't going to be that hard for you. A huge pounce move and a hard sequence on small edges leads him up and across into the black streak, where he does stop to rest for a while, knowing that the next section gets real. Really real. He leaves the rest into a tic-tacky sequence of sloping pinches and crimps, angling across the black streak, and with the rope arcing loosely to a bolt far below, lunges laterally for a small end cut. He latches it and is rewarded with another rest, where he can stare down the finish. And then he's in it, sucked tight to the wall, his knot constantly threatening to push him just that little bit too much backwards. Small crimp after small crimp, he's getting more pumped and louder, his power screams echoing across the Grampians. And as he clips the chains of the first 33 on the wall, Groove Train, a candidate for the best route on the planet, he says what everyone is thinking. Fuck, I'm the fucking best. Ben Cossey, welcome to Written in Stone. Man, I'm glad you're here.
That was good. You've done your research. Took me a moment to realize you're not talking about the Frank in your eye. I was like, sandstone? Yeah, it's nice to be here. That's awesome.
Yeah, man, I'm psyched. Before we get stuck in here, though, I have a question for you. I was just recently climbing in Utah with Lee Kugis,
Oh
another
yeah,
Blue Mountains frother, and he's who suggested I talk to you for this episode. And the way
yeah.
he described it, you're obsessed with Wolfgang and Action Direct.
I wouldn't say obsessed.
Does anyone who's obsessed say obsessed though?
No, it's. I don't think so. I think it's more a descriptor of the person from someone um, outside. Yeah, I wouldn't say obsessed. I'm just. I've got a healthy, an absolutely healthy, not obsession. Well, maybe. I don't know. Yeah, maybe.
You're at least a frother.
Yeah. Froth dog. Yep, totally froth dog.
So what I want to know is, do you have a pair of those red and white striped Lycra tights?
Oh, I don't. I held back on those because Wolfgang's didn't have the black knee bar reinforcements. So I'm waiting for an
Mm.
authentic. Nah, but I don't.
If you did, would you ever take them off?
Well, only to put my like unsoiled ones on so I could wash the soiled ones. Yeah.
Just have them all in your
Yeah.
closet, a line of striped Lycra.
Yeah. I will. I'll get some. I wouldn't mind some of those La Sportiva climbing on the moon ones.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they'd be good as well. Yeah.
Do you think you have the most family members of anyone who has done Punks in the Gym?
1, 2. Oh, I'm sure there's some other brothers that have done it.
You've also got Andrea, so
Of course. Yeah, and we'll have Max at some point.
Max
No, yeah,
someday will
sorry.
do it.
Yeah. Probably. I'd say so. Yeah, I think we're on top for sure. Yeah.
All right, so where I want to start this is you've done some routes that are heavily steeped in history. You seem to like gravitate towards those a little bit. The first
Oh,
solo
yeah.
of Gaia,
Oh, yeah.
you did a direct start to Parthian Shot, and of course, the first ascent of Groove Train.
Mm.
In 2012, you nearly did Action Direct. Can you tell me a little bit about going there and
Mm.
attempting it and how close you were?
Yeah. Like I guess I had been there in 2006, just on like in Australia, it was a thing like to save up all your money and go to the other side of the world and spend all your money on a long haul trip. So I did one of those, and I got on Action Direct then. I did most of the moves. I didn't do all the moves, but then I lived in England for a little while, then came back to Australia. Went again in 2009, and I went well, but I just wasn't strong enough. And then 2012 went back for 9 weeks. I committed a lot of time, and in the
Wow.
end, it was like way too much time because the start of the trip was super hot, and then towards the end of the trip was just Baltically cold. So from a maintenance of strength point of view, it was just way too long.
Mhm.
But the second day after doing all the moves, I got my high point. It was a bit baffling because then I didn't get back there. So
Oh,
I
no.
fell off going to the top mono, or just the intermediate just before, and then I was just kind of resetting to go to the mono, and it just kind of dry fired off. But yeah, so going there, it's a long way to go for one trip, and there's a lot of things at play. Obviously, the training and making sure that you're physically capable. Going there and only trying that route, your skin has to be in proper condition. So like we don't have pockets over here. So you like even the sides of your fingers, just they get
Mhm.
like totally murdered. And then also just our last trip, I remember psychologically it was a real challenge because I had gotten that high point. Then for the first jump move, I was hitting 3 fingers, and that shot, I've got pretty big fingers, but it just boom, straight in. Like, and it was just a beautiful thing. I was like, oh, this is Action Direct, baby. And then I struggled to hit it 3 fingers again. So then I went back to 2 fingers, and I just like totally eviscerated the side of my middle finger. And then, yeah, it's just the little nuances that make up a red point just started to fall away, towards the end.
Mm.
But it was sweet. Like I don't know how many days I spent on it, a lot, but I still have it dialed in my mind. Still think about it every day. I need to go back.
You do need to go back.
Yeah.
How did the like, we're not going to call it an obsession, How did the froth for Wolfgang and Action Direct start?
Well, way back, even before I started climbing, my brother climbed and my
Mm,
uncle climbed a little bit. And so there was just this, this is in the late 90s. There was like Garth Miller, there was this guy called HB, and then,
mhm,
this like guy that Wolfgang Güllich, Action Directe. I just remember those words like existing in um, my field before I even climbed. And then when I went to Rapley's for the first time, and obviously Raps is where Punks in the Gym is, where the first 32 in the world was that Wolfgang did, I got the Wolfgang book, and it was like $80 from
mhm.
the mountain shop. And I was 15, so I didn't have much money. I was and ahed about it the whole trip, and I was going to buy a 510 cap or the Wolfgang book because the 510 cap was quite expensive. But then I was like, oh, I'll get the Wolfgang book. And I remember opening up this double-page spread of Wolfgang on the top last move of Action Direct. And initially, embarrassingly, I thought it was Mere Axon. I thought, why is Mere Axon? Do you know Mere Axon?
Yeah, I remember Mia accent.
Yeah. I don't know why I thought, oh, it looks like Mere Axon. But and-
Mia Axon's arms are bigger, I think.
yeah, well, that's why I thought, she's pretty jacked in this pic, but this is Wolfgang's biography, so why is she here on Action Direct? But anyway, that picture just was like, boom, there you go, and it kind of put a face and a context of the route to the
Mm,
little things that had been in my field anyway. And then at the time, I had only had one repeat by Alex Adler, and then soon, I think maybe it was that trip that I was down. Oh no, it was the next year that Dave Graham did it. Um,
mhm.
yeah, and I was just psyched. Ikapoo, the footage of Ikapoo coming out on that whatever that video is, I can't remember. I had that on VHS and I watched that bit by itself over and
Yep.
over and over. But yeah, that's the long and short of it. It's just that's where the obsession will be real. We'll call it what it is. Started.
Yeah, well, good choice buying the book instead
Tell
of
me
the
about
hat.
it. I know.
I have a great story about that book. I
Yeah.
bought it, at a climbing gym I worked at, way back when, and then within, like, a week, I loaned it to a kid who climbed at the gym because he wanted to do a book report
Oh
for it
yeah,
for school. He
yeah,
was
yeah,
like a junior high school student or something,
yeah.
and then he moved to Texas, and he took the book with him, and just recently, when I was starting to write this Action Direct
Mm.
episode, I jokingly put a message on my Instagram stories that said, if anybody has this book, because John Purrs stole mine back in, 1997 or whatever. And he messaged me immediately with a photo of the book and was like, I still have it. I'm mailing it to you.
Good man. He got himself. I would track him down. I'd book a ticket to Texas just for you. Be your Wolfgang book henchman. That's what I was thinking. Oh, he lent it. Why'd he lend it? I lend
I
mine
know.
with strict conditions because I lent it once and it took ages to get it back. I was like, dude, you have to give that
Hmm.
back to me because they don't come cheap and they're kind of hard. Well, they were hard to get for a while. So
They're hard to get now. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
And I hadn't considered this before prepping for this chat,
Mm,
but when Wolfie was in Oz and when he did Punks in the Gym,
mm.
it was still a few years before Serpentine went up on Taipan. So do you
Yeah.
think Wolfgang even knew that that amazing wall was just down the road?
I don't know. You can see Taipan in the afternoon from Punks in the Gym, or
Yeah.
from the top of Punks, and certainly from a Raps. So I don't know. I don't know what the deal was there. I imagine it was less. Well, there was climbing in the Grampians.
Mhm.
There would have been climbs on Taipan. I guess it just would have been in the boonies though. Maybe.
I have to imagine him, like, at the top of Punks in the Gym looking over and just being like, "I wonder if there's anything there."
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I know. I would like to think so.
Well, man, let's dig into Action Direct a little bit. There's so much interesting about this route. Like it's still
Mm,
held up as, a pinnacle of sport climbing, even though
yeah,
it's now a full number grade below
yeah.
the top levels.
Yeah.
I've never climbed on the route. I've never
Mm.
been to the Frankenjura. I would love to go someday. I hear it's somewhat similar to the climbing we have around here at Wild Iris.
Oh, it would be for sure. It's yeah.
But we've seen so much of like Wolfgang campusing on, one pad monos on that campus board. In the campus center. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. I love that you've got the Wolfgang Mono Campus T-shirt on right now.
It's hyper pixelated because I took a photo of a photo, but it does the job, doesn't it?
But you're not obsessed. This is not an obsession.
I'm not upset, but I did go for print front and back.
Oh, I love it, man. I
Print
love it.
shoes.
So that is not a necessary thing for this route.
Oh, I don't know. Like, I think for maybe back in the day and what his skills were and where he was at with his training, and he was obviously pretty psyched on the campus board. Like, if you read Jerry Moffat's biography, like Jerry Moffat's frothing.
I was just reading it last night.
The Power and the Glory. I think it's Power and the Glory, or I'm not sure what chapter it is. It's one of those ones, but where it looks like he's just like, shit, the campus board is like the business, like for getting strong. And I imagine Wolfgang pretty quickly put two and two together. If I campus and I'm climbing in the Jura, they go hand in hand. So I think, and I don't know technically what Wolfgang was like, and the shoes and such. So I imagine, and definitely like the last trip, if it taught me anything, if I come back overpowered, like for it, it will be easier. So if you could have that kind of strength, which I don't know, like that's a shallow mono that Wolfgang's campsing on, and it's not cradling the lip of the your finger at all with a lip like a pocket would. Yeah, if you can get that strength, you not home and hosed, but you're going pretty well on the way to doing Action Direct. So yeah. So it might be necessary, not necessary.
That's a smart approach, actually, and maybe that's one of the reasons that it's sort of held our attention for so long. Is it's this like pure representation of what power looks like.
Yeah, and the story of Wolfgang training to do it is it's almost like anyone doing this now, you'd be like, fucking hell. Like even Alex Magos has some footage of him campsing on monos, but they'll catchy on the second joint, and I'm sure he's obviously really strong, but it's just that kind of stuff that just adds to the aura.
Yeah, the mystique, the Wolfgang mystique.
Yeah.
There's also the like sex symbol mane though that he has flowing while he's climbing. That has to add a little.
I think it must, especially like it borders on a mullet. It treads a fine line between a mullet and a mane. He kind of looks a bit like Bodie from Point Break, but he looks like also I don't know, a farmer from Goshrenstein. I'm sure, and he looks like I don't know. He could fit in the rugby league over here at the moment. Everyone's got a mullet going on. So
yeah, it's all the rage now.
Yeah, it is.
Whose mustache was better, yours or Wolfie's?
Yeah, no, Wolfie's was better, and Wolfie's was probably. I think I put mascara on mine because it wasn't dark enough. I can grow a moustache now, though. But yeah. No. Mine was done in the makeup booth.
Oh man, I love that.
That's funny.
What's the like? Talk me through what the like setting is there. In all the photos I've seen, it sort of looks like this magical forest with these little steep bulges everywhere, and I'm curious if that's really how it feels.
Yeah, no. Like you're talking about the Frankenjura, yeah? No, yeah. No, it is, and I think Action Direct is particularly awesome because you can't see it until you come up and around this little curve, or if you access it the normal way. But you can't. And actually, if you access it both ways, from the left or the right, you're you don't know you're there until it's like boom over the top of you. If you come in from its right, then it's really hanging over you. It's really pretty impressive, like big belly of a whale kind of. You could reach out and cuddle it kind of thing. But if you come from the normal side from its left, so yeah, stage left, and you get a real sense of how steep it is and how steep it is at the start, that jump, at the first jump, and it just rides like the bow of a prawning kind of ship. It's just like, prawning ships are kind of a bit more like that. So yeah, it's a big, beautiful bulge, basically. Yeah.
Wow, that's cool. Do
Yeah.
you
No,
do you
it's super
park
cool.
near it?
Yeah, you only park like 5 minutes down the hill. So there's in the Frankenmuir, it's like a rabbit warren of little roads, trickling through the forests and everything. And then you don't know you're at the crag until you're 10 meters from it and it comes out through the trees. Unless it's like winter, then you can see a lot more. But certainly
Right.
in autumn, when everything's just glowing like orange and yellow, yeah, there's little else in the world that's better than getting to the top of that little hill and checking it out. Yeah, it's good. Good stuff.
Oh man, sounds
It's
like magic.
It's proper gingerbread country town, or countryside, I should say. Yeah, it's good.
I had been told by a local, Hannes Hook, who I was getting some pronunciations from to try and make sure I didn't fuck up the whole episode by
Oh, yeah.
pronouncing everything wrong.
Oh, yeah.
He told me that he heard from Jerry Moffat that Wolfgang would just roll up, get out of his car, and go jump straight on the route. He wouldn't warm up at all. Had you heard
Yeah.
this before?
No, but on your introduction, he said without even a warm up. Yeah, something about it tweaked a little memory, but I don't know where it's from. But I know apparently Marcus Bock doesn't really warm up that much either.
Mm.
Yeah, so I don't know what that's about, because fuck, crikey,
Something in the
I need to
coffee out
warm up.
there.
I reckon, yeah, because yeah, it's a nasty one without a warm up for sure. But
Yeah.
maybe he had a secret warm up campus board at home before coming coming to the crag.
That could be. Just make a stop by the campus center before he comes
Yeah,
out.
yeah. No, but I
Smart.
can't say, something about that sounds familiar, but I can't say if it's whatever. Yeah, I'm sure it's true. It's Wolfgang, as if he needed to warm up.
That was a warm up.
Yeah, well, he's just getting stretched out here, limbered up.
Can we speculate a little? Like,
Definitely, we're gonna speculate.
if he hadn't died on the Autobahn, what happens?
I don't know. I always because he had just gotten married, I always imagined him having little kiddlywinks and living in Untertrubach or Obertrubach and finding some more projects and probably going on more mountain trips, traveling more. He seemed like a bit of he liked traveling. And I can't imagine he would have done any more comps.
Yeah. Didn't seem to care for those.
No, yeah. And I guess, yeah, I don't know if he would have stumbled on a project that would have kind of taken what he had strength-wise and even like pushed his capacities more. I would like to think so. I'm not sure what line it would be though. Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard Ben Moon talk about having a conversation with him shortly before he died, when Ben was trying Action Direct, before he injured himself, and Wolfgang had expressed his interest in going over to do Hubble.
Yeah.
So I think that would have been an interesting a comparison point to have back then, right?
Yeah. I think in the biography it says maybe I have a chance, something like that. Yeah. I'm sure he would have smashed it though.
Yeah, I have to think so.
Yeah.
But I did love that about, like, all the interviews I read and all the things I watched. He seemed so humble. Even though the myth was so big.
Yeah.
You know? Like, you can't watch a video of him or you can't read an interview without recognizing, "Oh, this is Wolfgang." Like,
Yeah,
he's
yeah, yeah.
this huge character.
Yeah, yeah.
But
But
then the
without
humility just
trying to be.
oozes out.
Yeah, exactly. It does, doesn't it? And I think, I don't know, you get, at least in the biography, a sense that when it was right for him to put absolutely 125% effort in, then he would. And when he needed to
Mhm,
hang back and do something else or chill a bit, he would. And then let that kind of psych build up, like, between Canal and Rucken and Punks and Wall Street. And like, he's still doing
mhm.
tons of climbing, but, it seemed like he wasn't always pushing on a hard project all the time. It was like, it had to be special. And yeah, but when it came along, he put the hammer down.
Yeah. Do you think there's a in that respect, do you
Mm.
think there's an analog between him and, who would go on to climb the first of the next grade, which was Sharma?
Mm. Yeah, I don't know. I guess to a degree, because Sharma, at least back in the like early 2000s, would not he, and I don't know him, but just from what I see in the media, would come and then sort of recede a little bit, and then come in these waves that were, as it turned out, ever increasing. It's like super compensation over the years. But yeah, like, he climbed a lot and very, very consistently. Couldn't not for that. But there was that kind of the push, and then it came back, push, and then it came back. Yeah, as opposed to, say, Dave
Mhm.
Graham, which is like, "Ah!" everything all at once, nonstop, forever. Does it make sense?
That was a good impression.
Yeah, yeah. "Ah! Wizard." No.
Uh, do you think
Mm,
if Wolfie had lived
mm.
and then Malcolm Matheson comes and does Serpentine, which
Yeah,
sort of brings Taipan into the
yeah.
view of everybody, do you think he goes there? And if he does he bolt and do Groove Train before you?
I can't help but think yes. Yeah. Before the turn of the 90s, for sure, he would have. You get the impression that he liked the vibe at Araps, and places like Camp 4 and Mount
Mhm.
Heracles was kind of not dissimilar to that. Yeah, no doubt. He probably would have done it left to right, Taipan, boom, 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 and Hollow Mountain
Yeah.
Cave. No, no, but I reckon there would have been some things popping up in the late 80s and early 90s that would have, tweaked his interest and prompted another trip back for sure.
I was reading Jerry Moffat's book again,
Oh yeah.
and in the book, he talks about going and on-sighting or flashing
Mm.
Serpentine,
Yeah.
and that was in '92,
Yeah.
and it was the same I think it was the same trip where he did Punks,
Yeah, it would have been.
and
Yep.
so my, speculation is Wolfgang comes with Jerry on that trip,
Yeah.
if he's still alive,
Yep.
and then he climbs on the Taipan Wall.
Yep. An on-site serpentine, and then Jerry flashes it, or does it second go?
And he sees Groovy and Groove Train over there untouched yet and is like,
Mm,
maybe that's
I
where I
know.
need to be climbing. Yeah.
Yeah, I reckon you'd have to put a big sheet up. So, nothing to see here, anyone. Do not come here. I'm getting changed.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, there's a debate now
Mm,
as to, Hubble has been sort of retroactively upgraded to
mm,
9A. At the same time, the grades all shifted around there. Like Liquid Amber got upgraded to 8C plus,
mm,
and Hubble got upgraded to 9A, which would make it the first 9A in the world if that
mm,
were the case.
mm,
Um, at the same time, Wolfgang didn't grade Action Direct 9A. He sort of
mm.
gave it this slash grade on the German scale.
Yeah, yeah,
So we, all collectively turned it into the first 9A in the world.
yeah.
And now there's a little bit of a fun debate amongst people about which was first. But I'm curious your thoughts on that. Does it even matter?
Yeah, like I think oh yeah. I'll have to bite my tongue. No, well, I know that when Adam Ondra went to and tried Hubble, I think that seemed to be the thing that instigated the
Yeah.
change. And he said, "Oh, if this
Mhm.
was done these days, it would be probably considered 9A." And
Right.
it seemed like it was jumped on. I was like, oh, fucking Adam Ondra, get in, let's give it 9A. But
Yep.
then Alex came and he annihilated it in like 2 hours or less, and thought, oh no, 8C plus seems appropriate. And I know that there's an old article that Ben Moon wrote in a climbing magazine where he's chastising grades of routes in France and being so like, nah, Hubble is 8C plus. Whether you grade Le Bronx and Super Platform 8C plus or anything, Hubble is way harder, and this is the standard by which those should be judged. So he was pretty
Mm.
hardcore with that in the mid 90s. So I always thought, oh well, and if that was in line with the grades leading up to when Hubble got done, I think 8C plus, like, from a historical point of view, it's like, oh, just leave it at that. And then I think of Action Directors, oh, well, it was the first route given 9A and consensus 9A, because like people like Clem Loscott and uh, Alexander Huber and all these guys, they couldn't do it. Chris
Mhm.
Sharma couldn't do it. Yeah. And I think it was the actual first route given 9A and consensus 9A. So it can't not be the first if it was the first given. Do you know? Does that make
Yeah.
sense? Yeah.
Yep.
That's how
Yeah,
I
I
think
think
of
so.
it. Yeah. And fully retrospectively, and I think Hubble is rad in its way, even though, you know, there's some highway underpasses that look more inspiring. But
Yeah.
but yeah, I just think of it as, the Action Direct was the first, so it can't be the second.
Yeah, and
Even if it is retrospective. Yeah.
I sort of feel the the audacity to call something a grade means a lot as
Yeah.
well. So that he gave it that slash grade sort of shows us his humility. Like,
Yeah. He's
I don't
not.
know if it gets that full grade or not, but
Yeah.
then we were all like, "No, this is it."
Yeah. Yeah.
And that sort of zeitgeist of this being the first allows so much more to happen,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know?
And it's not, again, like it was given that 9A grade. It was by the consensus of some top climbers that couldn't do it,
Yeah.
and yet it's still up there. It's not like, oh yeah, you just go and do Action Direct while you're in the Frankenmuir. It's like, fucking hell, it's like big news 32 years later. Dang, like for longer than Wolfgang was alive, it's been, whew, epic. Yeah, which
Yeah,
is
and I
pretty
that's one
crazy.
of the arguments, held up for Hubble being harder is
Mm.
that fewer people have repeated Hubble, but there's also fewer people trying to repeat Hubble, right?
Yeah, that's not an argument, I don't think, because that's like saying, "Oh, I've got a 3 Michelin star chicken parmigiana, and I have one that I dropped in a puddle, that is actually quite shit and frozen. Which one do you want?" Oh, more people take the Michelin star parmigiana, obviously, but doesn't make this one more rare or anything else. It just makes
I today I was writing the Hubble episode, and I was thinking, I wonder if, Magos's unwillingness to say Hubble was before and is the same grade was just
Mm.
because of his relationship to the Frankenjura and to
Yeah,
Wolfgang's
yeah,
Action
yeah,
Direct. But then I went back and watched all the videos of pretty much everybody doing Hubble that there's
yeah,
a video of, and Magos doing it.
yeah,
And Magos looks quite casual.
yeah,
He is crushing it,
yeah,
locking in every
yeah,
move where
yeah.
everybody else is lunging and
Yeah,
struggling.
yeah. And I think Hubble is super accessible, but obviously, no one goes to England to climb, so they're all English climbers, so they're a little bit biased. advice anyway. But I promised I would hold my tongue. No,
so much for holding your tongue.
yeah, no. But it is a cool route. It is. It like I to be fair though, I was impressed with how little it was.
Did you ever get on it?
No, actually, I think I've got they have rebolted Hubble, and I think one of the original bolts, I think I've got one of them. I picked one up from underneath Hubble anyway, so I've got that in my museum of rust. Yeah. But no, and I kind of, I think at the time I'd finished my European trip and I wasn't feeling very strong, and I was kind of focusing on grit climbing really. I don't want to, I do regret all sorts of things in my life, and definitely not getting on Hubble is one of them. Yeah, I wish I had have gotten on it. And because I didn't actually, I bowled at Ravenstor a bit, but I think I was a bit surprised with how it looked. Like Action Direct or, lots of other routes, they draw you in, whereas Hubble kind of, I don't want to say did the opposite, but it didn't have that kind of allure.
And maybe that's one of the things that makes those brick climbers so strong is that they have to look past a lot of that for their really hard routes.
And I think that's it. Like, it's just a different thing to what a lot of people are used to. And really, like Hubble is like vert to roof, and maybe it's pretty rad. So I wish I had gotten on it. So.
Yeah, I think it's very cool the interactions there between like Hubble and Action Direct and Moon and Güllich and Jibe Tribu and all the other characters that were pushing standards and pushing each other in that era. So I can't take anything away from Ben Moon and Hubble at all.
No, fully.
But certainly Action Direct is more inspiring.
Yeah. I remember Steve McClure said when he did Hubble, because it wasn't his style, even though he's really good on crims, but he's like, it's not about the grade. Like, it could be 8B plus or it could be 9B. Like, I don't know if he said exactly that, but he said it's more than that, because it's Hubble and it's like Action Direct. It's Action Direct. Like, if you do Action Direct, you're not doing it because you just want another 9A on the tick list, and you're not getting on Hubble because you think, I'll just bosh out this easy 8C plus. It's like, no, I want to do Hubble because it's Hubble. And same with Wall Street and same with punks. And if it was me, I'd just think, it was graded like that at the time. It works to keep it like that. Sure, stuff is drifting around later on, but I guess it's it's okay for history to be history. And
I agree, and you're right. The draw is way more than the grade. When I was in Araps, we were there for a day, and I went and got on punks because I had to go.
Yeah, you have to get on it, man. Exactly. Yeah, you have to.
How can you not?
Yeah, and people who don't climb that grade will go and stand underneath it and touch it.
Yeah,
that it's like that kind of route. You don't do that with many routes.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. One of the things for me when I was researching it, and something you pointed out when you heard the episode, was that he might not have done that sequence that I'm laying out in the episode, which is kind of the sequence everyone does now.
Yeah.
And okay, I'm going to break in here for just a second. I could make this just sound seamless and you would never know, but I want to let you know. I actually talked with Ben twice, and the first time we get into the sequence of Action Direct a little bit, but I didn't think I had done my homework quite well enough to really have a great conversation with Ben about the sequence. So I went away, I did my homework, and then I messaged Ben to see if we could talk again and really deep dive into the sequence of Action Direct. And I think that this next 40 minutes or so, which sounds like a lot when we're just talking about a sequence, is really fascinating. And if you're a climbing super nerd, it's going to be extra fascinating. But even for the folks who have this idea that hard climbs can only be done one way or there are just enough holds, this conversation might be really enlightening. Okay, while we're on this break, don't forget, use those codes from the sponsors. That's how they know that you appreciate them supporting this podcast, and that means we might get support for another season. So go use those. All right, let's get back to it. I've been watching all the videos. I think I've watched every Action Direct video that's out there in the last few days. And I think I have a pretty decent handle on the sequence.
Mm-hmm.
So what if we do it like this? Because I think this sequence is really, it's a point of interest for a lot of people. I can't tell you another single route on the planet that I can tell you how many moves it is if I haven't been on it before.
Oh, right. Yeah. Fair enough.
But lots of people know Action Direct is, Melissa Lenev calls it 18 moves. A lot of people say 16 moves is the standard, but we know it's in that ballpark.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you what a single other route is, that I haven't climbed myself.
Are we counting the slab? No, I'm only joking.
Well, that's an interesting thing too. I assume the count stops at the jug you hit up top and not the actual top out.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that's where the count starts, having the mono in or the jump pocket in your left hand. This hand's not on, and then it ends with that right hand hold. I would say. But that said, you hit that, match it, and go up to a jug from there. But
that's where what I suspect is considered the route.
Melissa might go 17, 18.
Yeah, in fact, I think she pairs up. She hits the top right hand, the next left hand pairs up, and then goes left hand.
Oh yeah. Fair enough. Yeah.
But so let's run it like this. I will try to break down the moves and the sections and the options you have at each section.
Yeah.
And then you tell me, is there something I'm missing, number one? And number two, I want to know from you what those holds actually feel like and what those moves actually feel like.
No worries. And this podcast, I can't imagine will be I imagine it will be to a lot of people's taste. Do not get me wrong, but it's definitely very specific, isn't it? I don't think my mum's going to listen to this one.
No, they're going to skip right over this part for sure.
Yeah.
But I several years ago there was a meeting of all the people, not all the people, but most of the people who had done Action Direct at that time, and on stage, and there used to be apparently a video of them all talking, but I think that's gone off the internet now.
Okay, yeah.
I couldn't find it.
I didn't know anything went off the internet.
I know. I need to figure out how to get on the Wayback Machine and find that thing.
Yeah.
But at the time, they said Alexander Adler was the only one who had repeated Wolfgang's original sequence. What I'm really curious about is, do we even really know what Wolfgang's sequence is, or are we just piecing it all together from photos? Because I don't think there's a video of him, right?
No, I don't think so. I think the most accurate thing to Wolfgang's sequence, this is what I would assume anyway, would be Thomas Ballenberger's photos of him.
Yeah,
that's how I have come up with Wolfgang's sequence. But when I've been on it, the bottom section kind of makes sense, but the top section kind of blows my little mind a little bit based off the pictures. And I wonder if there's maybe some ham pictures or something. I don't know if he was into hamming it up. I don't think he was.
Yeah. I'm curious. But let's jump into the moves. Quite
Sweet
literally,
eyes.
actually. We're starting in the mono or at the top of the slab. You get a no hands.
Yep.
You reach up to the mono.
Yep.
And this is the famous move.
Yeah.
You jump from here to what appears to be a pretty decent 2
Yeah.
or 3 finger if you can get all 3 in.
Yeah.
And
It's
it's
big.
kind of slightly Gaston, is that right?
Yeah. It probably is very Gaston. Yeah. It's
Okay.
like probably at
Okay.
about 45 degrees. So you're coming from way underneath. Sorry, I was just looking for the pages on the in the mag. You have this funny little bald undercling. You reach back to the mono rather, or I will take it. And Melissa does it the same way. I'm pretty sure. Where I crimp my index finger and just wrap jam my thumb on. My index on top and wrap the thumb. And there's a little bit of scriddle for the other fingers next to it. But yeah, that's where you realize, whoa, this thing is steep. Your feet are underneath you, and you look back, and it's definitely more than 45 degrees there. But then it quickly becomes 45 degrees once you actually out. But yeah, it's a long way, and because it's that way, hitting it as a Gaston, getting the 3 fingers in is quite hard. So it is a jug, but it really mauls like after quite a few shots if you don't stick it. You really maul the side of your finger there. But it is a jug. It's, you can go really balls deep like on that. And like you said, like if you can hit it accurately, you can get 3 fingers in there beautifully. But I found that quite hard to repeat that,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And at that point, like once you stick that,
Yeah.
some people reach out left and grab an intermediate
Yep.
that they then adjust the 3 fingers into the pocket.
Yeah, exactly. So you'll see a lot of people
Or they move their feet around.
Yeah, some people don't use it, but some people will they'll really kind of feather off the mono, like they don't really use it much. Once you get that, you kick your feet onto some pretty okay but polished footholds and re-grip to a 3, or like you said, go out to that thing, and that's a juggy little, or almost a digit 3-finger chisel pocket.
Oh, is it?
It's like this little smiley face. And yeah, that's the photo that I've got of Wolfgang holding that.
Yeah.
And that's where most people will re-grip the 2-finger into the 3-finger before shifting across and crossing onto the next 2-finger pocket.
Yep.
So yeah, the jump mono, oh God, it's a real mono. Like it doesn't hold the side of your fingers like say a Beastmaker mono does.
Yeah.
And it's bang on a joint. So I find that really it's uncomfortable. It's really pretty angular. It's like a piece of like 20 mil, not round bar, square steel. Like if you imagine just monoing on a quite a sharpish edge, quite tight radius. But
wow.
Yeah, hence I crimp it. But yeah, I've got to tape my index finger so it doesn't split the joint as well on that one.
Yeah, and like you said, Melissa sort of pinches it.
Yeah, and you can get your thumb up on it.
I think that Rustam Gelmanov also holds it that way. Like you can just see it for a second, but it looks like he's definitely pinching. He's got his thumb around it.
Yeah, he must.
And it looks like he's crimping.
Yeah, I forgot about the thumb block. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's a crimp monster, so I assume that's how he did it.
Yeah.
Hey, for this move, have you seen the Rich Simpson video?
The footage, on Obsession, yeah.
He's talking about going left hand in the mono and then right hand into another mono and left hand into the thing that everyone is Gastoning.
Yeah, and so I remember when he kind of did it, he was like, I did it Wolfgang's way, and definitely off that juggy pocket. He does it a similar way. He goes up off the pocket to something that people go and they're Gaston with their left hand, but he takes it as a side pull right hand. But yeah, that mono that he uses is less than a digit on that steep section of wall. So it is really poor, but it is there, and it's even looks like there's might be a little bit of chalk on it in the photos of Wolfgang, but I'm not sure. Maybe he used it as a foothold, or it's that kind of rock. It's kind of grey and white anyway. But yeah, it's not a good hold that Richard's using in that video. Like he certainly was strong enough to do that route, but apparently he didn't do it. It's crazy, but because that's a crazy, ridiculous sequence to do it, and he sticks it.
Yeah, that's what I thought. That's what I
Yeah.
thought. And one thing I thought was really funny about Rich Simpson's video while we're talking about him is
Mm.
that there's more continuous footage of Marcus Bach climbing on it and failing than there is of Rich Simpson climbing on it.
Yeah, I know. I don't. Who's the Welsh guy who made that movie? Can't remember his
I
name.
can't remember.
But yeah, I don't think Rich did it that trip because I think it was in summer or was quite hot
Yeah,
still, and
did it
then
air
he came.
quotes.
Yeah, did it. Did it the next trip or whatever it was. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Okay,
No,
so
but that's a savage move. So yeah, I forgot about Richard's sequence there. Yeah, but that's
yeah,
that into like him doing it Wolfgang's way. But then the photo that I have of Wolfgang, he obviously jumps to the jump pocket, grabs that smile, goes out to the 2-finger pocket that Richard ends up using as an intermediate, and then must drop into that because I've done the moves Wolfgang's theoretical way that I've based off Thomas Ballenberger's photos, and they totally work, but they're just not as it's definitely not as pleasant and not as easy.
got it. So
Yeah.
right here where most people
Mm.
do a big cross, they've got the
Yep.
right hand Gaston, 2 or 3 fingers. They
Yep.
do this big cross with their left hand to what
Yep.
appears to be a good 2-finger pocket.
Big
And
cross. It's bang on one joint kind of 2-finger pocket. So yeah, it's pretty good,
okay,
but it's steep and the footers are slick and small. You got to be precise on your toes. So it's
got it.
not like a super jug, but it's probably like the Beastmaker thing. Like, if you
Yeah.
can hold that comfortably, you'll hold this hold comfortably on Action Directe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And that move, like watching that move, it
Mm.
can be one of the like really stylish looking moves on the route. I really
You
like
feel
watching
it.
like when Dai Koyamada does it. It
Oh,
looks
it's
super
beautiful.
stylish.
Yeah.
I love watching the people who just like drop a hand and sort of windmill their arm all the way
Yeah.
across their body to make this cross. It looks so cool.
Yeah, no, it's one of those ones. Yeah, you can really hang out of your bones. It's probably the only move really on the route where you can actually kind of just get some slack in the system and kind of
Yeah.
chill for a second. A lot of people would chalk up or Euro blow or whatever.
Yep,
But
that's
yeah,
what it
yeah,
looks like. And
yeah,
here's where you think Wolfgang's sequence differs a little bit,
yeah.
right?
This based off Ballenberger's photos. I reckon Wolfgang has that goes out to there, goes to the 2-finger pocket and drops in, and then we get to that photo that I sent you
Oh,
this morning.
drops
If I
in
go,
left hand to what you Gaston from the jump.
yeah, yeah.
Got
So
it. Yeah, yeah.
here's Wolfgang with his right hand in the jump pocket, the left hand on
Yep,
that intermediate slotlet. There's a
yep.
photo online somewhere on the internet where he's moving to that 2-finger pocket. 100%. I've seen that photo, and then you get to the photo where he is he's obviously here. He's obviously sticking the jump pocket, the swing,
Yep, yep.
and then I've got another photo there that's funky, and then moving up like Richard Simpson is to the
Right.
left Gaston pocket, but instead he's using his right hand. So that's my theory based off those photos is that Wolfgang jumps, intermediate, boom, drop in, twist in, Euro blow, obviously, no, and then up to the 2-finger pocket, and then gets the glued edge with the left hand, I assume, and clips there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's move ahead to that edge. So there's kind of a series of 2 fingers right here that people use different ways.
Yep.
Um,
There's a few little intermediates and things as well.
Yeah, and when you come to this glued edge that's out left,
Yep.
it seems like there's 2 options here. Some people they go left hand into what looks like a fiddly little 2-finger or something, and then they go straight up to a mono, and some people go straight left to the edge.
Yeah. So if we backtrack to the jump pocket, cross to the 2-finger, and then
Yep.
people will cross over. There's a little intermediate, little scriddle 2-finger step thing, and then you go again 2-finger, then the left Gaston. Most people will get that left Gaston.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is the same. This is how Alex Adler did it. Whereas Wolfgang seemingly gets that one in his left hand.
Right.
He will go to that, or a quite a thin little intermediate and tag in to the 2 finger, and then up to the glued edge. That's how Adam Ondra will do it. And a lot of people will go up to a pretty juggy but tight mono, and that's the classic kind of mono clip. And Wolfgang, yeah. Now that you mention it, there's a photo. Is there? No. There's not a photo of Wolfgang on that I've seen. I'm sure Thomas has one, but yeah.
Yeah, and like you said, most people seem to clip off that mono, whether they go to the left-hand edge first or they go to the mono first.
Yeah, they either clip off the edge or the mono, and I think Adler gets 2 fingers maybe. That's why I think a tight 2 finger. I remember thinking, oh, it's 2 fingers. Alex gets 2 fingers in it, but when I was on, I was like, man, I'm not getting 2 fingers in that thing. Like it's tight.
I think Eker, is that his name?
Yeah, Eker. I'm pretty sure he does a mono.
He does a mono, but then he stacks his index on top of the mono.
Yeah.
Doesn't go in the pocket, but he stacks it on top of there.
Oh, yeah, that's funky, hey? Yeah, funky little trick.
And that edge out left, the glued edge, that looks terrible.
Yeah.
A lot of people make that section look quite hard.
Yeah.
Melissa clips off that edge.
Yeah.
And looks really casual.
Yeah, I know.
The thing that I suspect is hard here is the foot.
Yeah.
It seems like a lot of people are choosing between a toe hook and a heel hook while holding that edge.
Yeah.
And then you go right hand, you come out of the mono, right hand to what looks like a 3-finger side pull, pinchy sort of thing.
It's pinch, yeah.
Almost everybody uses a heel or a toe way out right.
Yeah.
Alex Adler, however, just like squares up and goes straight up.
Yeah, he does it like Adam Ondra. And I think
Adam
he
Ondra
even
did
does
the same thing.
Back 3 in it as well. Some people it sort of cradles your back 3 nicely, that pinch.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's crazy. I remember you just reminded me in 2000, because a lot of people do that toe hook. I think almost everyone who used that little funny little tooth out right up until Jan Hoyer did it with the heel. And in 2009, I completely forgot about this, but he and I were trying it and we were trying to figure out that move, and it was really desperate because neither of us could do the toe hook. And then one day I tried the heel, and I could seriously chalk up on that. And it was almost to the point where I was giving up and he was walking off. He was in a bit of a huff that day, but yeah. And then the heel, it was like, non-move. With the heel, for me, it was a non-move. And I think that's what some people who could get the toe hook to work on that spike found as well. Like you could just, like Ikapoo, just chill out and reach. But man, Alex Adler and Adam Ondra just make it look like a debacle.
They just go straight up. Yeah. Adam Ondra looks like such a mess when he's climbing that route. He just like no concern at all for looking smooth or looking like he's climbing well. He just crushes it.
I know. And if you imagine Adam climbed it like that, I wonder how Dave Graham made it look.
Yeah.
But it would have been rad to have footage of Dave on it, I reckon.
I know. I wish that existed.
Yeah.
The heel / toe hook out there on that little spike is really fascinating to me because, like you said, once you found the heel, you could just chill on it.
Yeah.
If you watch like Dai Koyamada on it, he gets the toe hook and he looks like he could take a nap there.
Yeah. And he's a toe hook weapon.
He looks so relaxed. But then Buster Martin, who I've had on the podcast to talk about Hubble, who's also climbed Action Direct, in the video of him, he has a really hard time making the heel work. He tries a bunch of different shoes. He can't make the heel work. And even when he sends, the heel blows out mid-move, but he holds the swing and kicks his foot back on and continues.
Yeah, right. I haven't seen the footage of Buster doing it. But I should check it out. But yeah, no, it's interesting, isn't it? What works for some people, like in my head, I would never consider any other foothold. Like it just
Right.
works for
Right.
me.
Right.
And it's like toe hook. My toe hook's like, it's like my tibialis anterior is like made of butter. Like it just doesn't work. It's weird. Yeah. And then you get these crazy people, which I assume Wolfgang is one of them, who just plow into
Yeah.
the pinch. Because in the Wolfgang book it says like intense pinch moves or something like that.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
marginal pinch
I
moves.
suspect he does that straight up version as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
I think that's fascinating. And I think it's a great lesson for people that, like, just because a move feels impossible to you doesn't mean there's not a way you just haven't tried that makes it really easy.
You have to figure it out. Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, and a lot of those times, you know, you can sense that there's something there that will work for you. It's just, I just need to figure it out. Like, yeah,
There's enough features and options here that
yeah,
that something is going to work. I just haven't, like, put the puzzle pieces together yet.
exactly. Incidentally, I was just going to say, that's the spot where the original Milan Sakura line comes in. So when
Oh,
you're
is it?
hanging off the bolt, you can see the chopped bolts off to the right. They're chopped and bent back into the wall, hammered into the
Oh,
wall.
are
Just a
they?
few little pockets there. So you can see his original line coming from Teddy Vampe, and why Action Direct's called Action Direct. Like it's just
Yeah.
kind of plows straight up there. So yeah, it's cool.
Got it. Yeah, I wondered where it came into, and that's really interesting to know.
Seemingly at the mono, you'd have, I think there was some tight 3-finger pockets, and you'd cross into the mono and then out to that glued edge, and you'd be in.
Got it, got it.
Yeah.
Okay, so everyone kinda ends up with their right hand in that pinch.
Yeah, I don't think anyone has not.
And from here, there's some really interesting things that happen here.
Mm,
You can either go left, or well, sort of straight left, or
yeah,
directly up on some pockets. Like,
yeah,
what Dai Koyamada does is he reaches straight left and gets a really high left foot and does this series of bumps
yeah,
that when he does it looks ridiculously hard and cool. Like, he's locking off below his waist
yeah.
and bumping up. So you can do this series of bumps
Mm,
that ends with your left hand in a mono,
yeah,
or you can go straight up, basically, on what look like a few two-finger pockets. They don't look great, though. These moves look kind of hard for people.
yeah. I think if you go straight up, that's what maybe allows Alex Adler to kind of hang low on the back 3 pinch because it's a shorter move and you're kind of crossing over your body. And I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
Wolfgang goes to this hold like this. I think with front 2 though, because this pocket is almost like a little V slot. You kind of, I end up holding it, doing it the die way. So I end up hooking it in this little V slot, and it's much better in the corner. And you'll see, I think Ikapu actually jacks it up into a half crimp to cross over the top
Mhm.
to the next 2-finger pocket, and that's pretty poverty stricken. That one, that's probably 2/3 of a joint maximum, but quite tight. And you'll see some people crimping that one. It's pretty thin, and this is where the Wolfgang. We'll get back onto the Wolfgang sequence because this is where my mind turns to mush.
So, the straight up variation, like, they're going up these pockets, they end up slightly above the mono out left, and they sort of reach down to it and then drop their right hand down into that little pocket that you're sort of twisting your fingers
And
into.
yeah, and now it's like a side pull, and you can reach out to that final
Yeah.
jump edge. Yeah.
So, here, I wondered if you knew this. I suspected you did, and I should have just known it, but watching Adler, I was a little blown away at this spot because
Mm.
he crosses into the mono.
Oh, he does, doesn't he? He goes like that, doesn't he?
Yeah, he crosses under
Yeah.
into that mono, so he's got his
Yep.
right hand in the mono, which seems
Yeah.
maybe that move is just really hard to do, but it
Mm.
seems really smart because then you don't have to make the huge lateral move to the left where Melissa kept falling.
Yeah, I could imagine the unwind off that mono would.
Mm,
Oh, because he does. He goes like that, doesn't he?
yep.
He really transfers his weight. Yeah, I forgot about that. Him doing it that way. Yeah. Ikapoo goes boom, boom, drops down, drops in, does the
Yep.
tic-tac. Yeah, interesting. I forgot about that LaRose. That's a cool, man, that would be a good photo opportunity.
I know. And the video of Adler is so dark there that I had to rewind like 6 times. Like, am I seeing this correctly? Is he crossing where I think he's crossing?
Because that's where the top Wolfgang sequence. If anyone has a Wolfgang book, you'll know in the Action Direct chapter, there's a photo of him right hand in that mono like Alex, but his left arm is under his right arm. It's not over, so he hasn't the rose seemingly. And this is my theory: is that he's gone up there maybe and crossed over or done some sort of crossover to the mono, which, oh boy. It's like not easy. I would love a photo of on my wall of Wolfgang doing that move, just because it's like this kind of mystery sequence. But I'm glad you remind me of Alex, because it does. If Alex did it that way, you could imagine someone who could like do like 50 moves on 1-4 campus drop downs like Wolfgang could.
Yeah.
Could just kind of roll over. Yeah, baby, I'm on the outro jugs.
Yeah, it seemed like once I saw it, I was like, wow, that's pretty smart. It gets rid of that big lateral move.
Keeps him tight to the wall. He would have the footers to
Uh-huh.
do it with that edge. And the other, like, there's little lumps that you can stand on out there. It does make sense. I could just imagine that unwind being pretty savage. Or definitely in my head harder than the sequence I do it with, which is the die away, underclean, little intermediate, again to the mono.
Got it. And then you bump your right hand into that little sort of twisty pocket, and then straight left out to what looks like a mostly down pulling 3-finger edge.
Yeah, Wolfgang has it like as a 3-finger half crimp, but you can get 4 fingers on it and your thumb, so you can
Oh, got
really
it.
like maim it if you need to. And once you get out to it, the footholds are good. It's less steep. The mono is right in front of your face. He's like,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
really cool.
I think that's funny. I actually have written here that the mono seems to be right in your face when you're in the middle of that move.
Right in front of it, yeah. But it's not dissimilar when you're doing the drop. Like I've been up there on Link, and when you're looking at the mono, it's like maybe 2 inches away from that really
Right.
slopey intermediate, but it's just like it's not
Yeah.
easy to hit. And you could just imagine if your forearm's a bit corked, like unwinding
Mhm.
it and coming off. Some of the Polish guys I've seen on it get 2 fingers, and I think Melissa might even do the same thing. Get 2 fingers in that pocket, coming off the pinch, but then later on
Mhm.
just get it as a mono. But that's not it's not hard, not easy to get 2 fingers in that.
Yeah, you'd have to be very tensioned up and precise at that point.
Yeah, and they seem to be happy enough with a half digit front 2-finger pocket than a mono, like a pretty
Mm.
positive but rattly kind of one joint mono. It's crazy. What people are strong at, like the heel sequence. It's like the heel works for some people, obviously not for others. Some people choose like a horrendous tight 2-finger bird beak instead of like a pretty positive one joint mono. But yeah.
Yeah, and I think at this level too, you often hear people say something similar to like, there were just enough holds for it to go, that kind of thing. But I think this route, even though it's at a relatively high level, proves that there's very often a lot more holds than necessary to make it go, because some
Yeah,
people are using different sequences and different holds, and
yeah.
there's ways for people of a lot of sizes to make it work.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, it definitely seems to be. Yeah, yeah. Because
Yeah.
a lot of people, well, there's been people like, say, Adam Pustelnik, the Polish guy,
Uh-huh.
I've never met him, but apparently he's quite little. And he's done it. He's done that first jump and managed, he used the heel hook in the middle section, and he managed to get up. But I'm not sure how he did the top section. I think he did it. I'd have to watch the video again.
I can't remember how he did the top.
No, I think he did crossed and over and down, did the Ika sequence. But yeah, and then there's other people who've done it, taller people. I don't know who the tallest person would be to have done it, but probably about 6 foot or so.
Yeah. Yeah, and one thing I want to know, when you're making that move out left, the big left span to the good edge, does it have like the side of a pocket at all? There's no like side pull on it. It's just down pulling.
It's not like sideless. Yeah, there is some element of compression happening when you get that and you're on that pocket. There is an element of you hit it and it kind of catches you a little bit. It's not like hitting something purely horizontal where you have to be like, down pulling but from a side. Yeah. So it's not too much like that. It's like it's pretty catchy. And then
I was imagining it as straight down pulling and just imagining how hard that would be tired.
Yeah, you can kind of
stand out and pull straight down.
Yeah, you can be flamed and I think still hit that.
Got it.
Yeah.
And that finish move, I think I heard somewhere that Iker fell at this finish move like 30 times.
Yeah,
is that right?
Yeah, that rings a bell. I think he did fall. I think a lot of people have fallen off that a bit. I think I could imagine some people just kind of, having it dialed or just getting lucky or whatever and just sticking it, within a few shots, like depending on how hard they find the bit around the pinch. Because I think that's the red point crux off the pinch and that section. And then once you're on that edge and that mono, it's not home and hosed, but it's definitely it's in the bag at some point in the future. You just need to keep tying in. But yeah. So I forgot about Iker falling off there that many times. He was the third ascent as well, so he's still breaking ground. I think.
Right.
Yeah.
So once you hit the edge way out left, then you bump your right hand into the mono.
Yep.
Left hand goes up to something. What does that left hand hold?
This is an asterisk. I think Wolfgang doesn't go to that. I'm not sure what Alex does. You've watched the video more recently than me, but a lot of people will keep their feet there, bone up on this one. This one's way better. I couldn't make that sequence work for myself. Like it was just kind of like, it just felt a little bit wrist cocky and like it just felt way easier just to be like, boom. And because this is side pulling, you can get your thumb on it. You can just hoik up to it's not a jug, but it's like a joint and a half kind of in-cut rounded finger jug.
Yeah. It looks like it's kind of hard to hit. It looks like it's got like a little brow over it. Like it's a little slot in there that's hard to hit.
It's the bottom of like a little flakelet and it peters off into an edge. So if you wanted to, you could hit an edge here, but you'd have to be probably overgunned to be using that. It's like still good. There's an old picture of Richard going for it. I'm not sure if he didn't send it, but was using that edge. But yeah, you can hit it and it's pretty positive. You just need to go with a bit of height to just kind of, you just wrap your fingers in right. It's not accuracy dependent, but it is, but it's not.
Yeah, it looks like something where you have to hit it with tension.
You'd have to hit it with tension, and I could imagine someone having a bit of a heartbreaker moment if they hit it with a real straight arm because it's side pulley like that. If you hit it with a straight arm, you could imagine the fingers coming out of it and down the drain pipe. But and then conveniently your body kind of does this little move, and then you've got a foothold there, so you can kind of a tight little helicopter cut. Like Dye does, he goes, "What?" And there's a little greasy smear. And then you can match, go to the jug, the proper jug.
Yeah, that's actually one of the most impressive moments for me in Melissa's send is that she keeps that foot. She's fully extended.
Yeah, she does, doesn't she?
On her tiptoe.
Yeah.
And the way she does it is she comes in right hand into the mono, goes up left to something else, and then she does this really it's really quite elegant, and several people do it. It's like a pogo or a moon kick.
Mm.
Ironically, it's a moon kick at the top of Action Direct.
Yeah.
And and, uh, and she does it with no hesitation, just
Yeah.
it just flows into the move really well, but then when she sticks that high right hand, she's on her tiptoe, and she keeps that foot, and you can see it in her
Yeah.
face that she's fighting, you know?
Yeah.
That's one of the most impressive moments of that video for me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's a cool move because you know that when it's a send, like you know that that person is feeling pretty good right there. You know, it's like the one with
Yeah.
watching Die when he sticks it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get a good vibe from that.
I think he's starting to cry already when he
Yeah,
sticks that hold, he's immediately, like, tears coming.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's really
Oh,
cool to watch.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Sometimes I'll just think about that, and I'll yeah, you kind of get yourself to that point. It'll
Yeah,
be a
totally.
good feeling, yeah.
For sure. Um, is there anything I'm missing?
No, I think we covered it all. Like, other than the fact that it's like quite a funny little bulbous crag, and like when people stick that jug, that just get this rock over and get to mantle over this really mossy little like ledge, and the anchors are there, and yeah, it's all pretty cool. It's
Yeah, I
pretty
think
cool.
that's very cool. And actually, I did this route. I can't even remember what the route was. It was a trad route, first
Mm.
ascent in the Red River Gorge,
Oh, okay.
eons ago. Um, but because I had already seen the footage of Die
Yeah,
doing Action Direct, when I topped out this thing in the red, it was a really similar situation, like laid out similar,
yeah,
and
yeah,
I
yeah, yeah,
immediately like flashed to the Die footage of him topping out up there,
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
Melissa has a great moment up on top as well.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. It's
yeah,
it's
I
a
think
full
that
value
it's
top
special
out, I
to be able
reckon.
to top out.
Yeah, yeah, totally. Oh, it's good that the anchors just aren't at that kind of juggy thing you
Yeah,
catch. No, it's good. It's classic Frankenura kind of forest pagoda. You know, it's all
yeah, that's
savagery
cool.
until you get to the top. Yeah.
That's cool. Who do you think looks the best doing it? Out of all the videos you've watched, who looks the best?
Ah, I remember the footage when Jan did it. Jan Hoya.
Uh-huh.
He looked pretty good. He looked pretty cruisy, but it was like a mobile phone footage, so it's hard to tell. Yeah, like I would say, I like how Di climbs it, and I just love the fact that Melissa did it as well.
Yeah.
They're probably my
Yeah.
top two outside of Wolfgang. But yeah, the footage we have available, like they would be my top two, like go to watches for motivation on it.
Those are mine too.
Yeah,
I'm really impressed by Melissa doing it,
yeah, yeah,
and watching Di climb anything, his
yeah,
style is just so good.
yeah.
It's really fun to watch him.
Yeah,
So,
no, exactly. Like climbs fast and precise. He pulls in tight when he needs to. He's like backs off and slackens up when he needs to. Uh,
yeah.
Somehow his toe hooks stick far better than mine ever have. Like he looks like he was born with like 5 extra tibialis anteriors, and I'm definitely deficient.
He got all of
But
what
yeah,
you didn't get.
yeah, yeah, exactly. No, he is a good style that if I try and like work on technique or whatever, he will be one that I try and practice. Or that kind of Japanese kind of like real tight, like when he cuts, and a lot of Japanese climbers are
Yeah.
similar. They when they cut, they stay tight and ball up. Yeah, they're
I love that
powerful.
it's just all like kung fu film sound effects that you're making right now.
Yeah, exactly. Like fully, I can imagine like Bruce Lee doing the same thing. But I know a few guys. Oh, yeah, like it's just that cool style. Like they're
Yeah, it
fast and
really is.
pouncy, and like they recruit hard. Yeah, and that it's the
Yeah.
opposite of what I feel comes naturally for me, which is like lopey and, oh, yeah, I'm cool, I'm chilling out here. Whereas I need to kind of cultivate that kind of
Yeah,
drunken
totally.
master
I'll tell
kind
you,
of style.
drunken master, exactly. I could see you being a drunken master. I could see that.
Yeah, sweet. Yeah, I was watching it the other day for about fifth time. I love that. Beggar so. Yeah.
Well, man, I'll tell you what, the one of the things that surprised me going through all the videos was seeing the footage of Marcus Bach and Rich Simpson's
Mm.
video because I'd forgotten it was in there.
Yeah, yeah,
And there's a pretty big chunk of
yeah.
Marcus Bach trying it. And his style is dramatically different than Die, but I
Mm,
really like it. It's more thuggy. It's more,
mm,
more like all arms, and it's
yeah.
just really cool to watch. Not as like frantic as Ondra, but he's doing the
No.
same sequences as Ondra.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
exactly. It's not as
really
frantic as
cool.
Andre, but yeah, because he does the same thing, pounce to the pinch, and that all that footage. That's like the first jump, and then he falls off, dropping in, doesn't he? Off the
Yeah.
mono, dropping in. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I forgot about all that footage. That's a good shot, isn't it? Yeah, but I know what you mean. Like I think that's probably just a master class in what it takes to climb in the Frankenura hard.
Yeah, he's got black wristbands on and a
Yeah,
black
yeah.
beard and a bald head. I'm like, "Man, I wonder if I could pull this off."
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He got black pants with red, yellow, and green stripes down it as well.
Yeah,
Yeah,
totally. Yeah, I love it.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
fun.
No, it's good.
So, when are you going back? Are you planning to go?
Yeah, I'll do everything in my powers to go back next year. Like I have a bit more of time and space to train, and actually have a good training space now in the shed.
Mhm.
Yeah, so basically I need to reignite that kind of sense of, oh no, I can get over there, and I have done that. I have to remind myself of where I was at back then, and
Well,
yeah, that's
that's
possible.
actually been pretty tough to do since 2020 and all of
Yeah,
the, lockdowns.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
been hard to remotivate and get back into that mindset.
Yeah, yeah, totally. And it's a funny thing. And last trip it was like, dang, like crossing the other side of the world for one route only again. You put in this massive effort. Oh, you don't come away with the prize.
Yeah.
I have to try again.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, totally. That sort of pressure is one of the best things about traveling for hard climbs, I
Yeah,
think.
yeah, 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 yeah. It's a bit of a mind bender sometimes when I think about it. It's like, oh no, I have to go back. I have to remember that was a component, which was a surprise for me last trip. Of I have to keep my head in check. I have to make sure all these other ducks are lined up and things like that. Yeah,
Yeah, that's one of the things I really appreciate when I'm reading the stories of these climbers, especially for the sport climbers from the early 90s, was like they would do the hardest things at their home, but then they would also travel all around the world and do the hardest things everywhere.
yeah, yeah. Like Wolfie and Punks, like that's the other side of the world. Hey, it's far out. Yeah,
Yeah, that's amazing to me.
yeah, 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 yeah. It is.
I think, I am gonna be rooting for you. Everybody listening is certainly gonna be rooting for you,
Except the English.
except for the English, yeah. They're just gonna be like, "Fuck that guy."
I've got a soft spot for grit. They love me. Just taking the piss, man.
Well, man, I know that, that in our first chat, you said it's not an obsession.
Myth
But
busted. It turns out
yeah,
it
exactly. Myth 100% busted. But I love how obsessed you are with it and how
Mm.
excited you get about it and all the other history. Thanks for like taking the time and
Oh, it's
being
a pleasure.
excited.
Yeah, yeah, no worries. Likewise. I was thinking, oh, I wonder if he wants to talk about it again. And then you sent me a message. What about a deep dive into the sequence? I'm like, hallelujah. No one else
I
wants
love
to
it.
talk about it with me.
They've all heard you talk about it.
Yeah,
enough.
I know. That's it. Ben keeps going fucking on. Bloody hell. No, it's good. I'm psyched. Yeah.
1, 2.
All right, Written in Stone is produced by me, Chris Hampton, with help from Riley Rush and Emily Holland for Plugtone Audio, a group of the best, most impactful podcasts in the outdoor industry. At the link in your show notes, you'll find all the things you expect, including that video of Ben Cossey doing Groove Train, and probably some you don't. And look, this show is 100% rooted in the facts. But like Todd Skinner always said, never let the truth get in the way of a good story. If you love what you're hearing, give us those 5 stars and a glowing review, and tell everyone you know at the crag, at the gym. Follow the pod on your friends' phones and share it all over your social medias. And together, we can tell the stories of climbing's most important ascents, 1 decade at a time. Stoners, we're back. I told you it was going to be nerdy. It was extra nerdy. But you know what? I was floored by the number of messages that I got after the Action Direct story from people asking me to go into the sequence more. I was like, what? That's exactly what we're doing next week. And if any of you who are messaging me are listening now, I really hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. Talking with Ben is a pleasure always, as you can probably tell from the conversation. Another thing I want to say here, I know I keep saying thank you, but that's because the thing keeps growing. And I make this thing for multiple reasons. Number one, I want to educate newer climbers. I want to let them know what the history is in a fun and engaging way. And number two, I want to try to get the older climbers, the legends, psyched as well. And I got a really nice message from Steve McClure right after the Wolfgang episode. He was really excited about it. And Steve, if you're listening, I cannot even begin to tell you how much I appreciate that and how much it made my entire day to read that first thing in the morning. The fact that the people I'm talking to on this show are getting just as excited about it as I am and as the rest of the listeners are, that warms my cold, black little heart. Anyway, you all are getting another episode in just a couple of days with Alex Magos discussing Action Direct and Wolfgang and the Frankendura and his love for the place and what the place has meant to his climbing. It's pretty remarkable, actually. And you can probably hear that my voice is going because this whole house is sick again, between my toddler at daycare 2 days a week and my wife working as a counselor at the elementary school. I basically live in a petri dish. So I'm recording these in between voice losses. Essentially, that's what it's come to. Anyway, I'm out of here. I'll see you guys in a couple days. Bye.